Come along now. Enter the special world of Sports Afield, the next best thing to being outdoors. Your Sports Afield reporters are two of the nation's leaders in the outdoor field. Homer Circle, one of America's foremost authorities on fish and fishing. Gresham, author, outdoorsman, and authority on shooting and hunting. Sports Afield is brought to you in part by your Kmart Sports Center with quality brand names at Kmart prices.
Homer Circle here. Stay with us for an underwater look at the fabulous Florida Keys and the fascinating creatures that live there. I think you'll especially enjoy seeing fishermen catch one of the world's fastest game fish.
From the air, these beautiful ocean shallows resemble an abstract painting. The colorful shapes are sand flats, coral, and seaweed. Scattered on the shallows are lush tropical islands like this one. They are windswept and low, standing only a few inches above the line of high tide and flooding completely in gales and hurricanes. Their bedrock consists of limestone and coral, deposited in distant ages when the ocean waters were higher and now exposed as new land. Covering the islands are forests of mangrove, dense and jungly, and infested with clouds of mosquitoes and biting midges. Their interiors are penetrated by twisting tidal creeks, and some of them conceal shallow lagoons like this one. On and around these islands, the variety of natural habitat is tremendous, and so they are vital refuges for countless wild creatures of land, sea, and sky. The islands we're describing are the Florida Keys, an archipelago 150 miles long. Many of the keys are connected by a road with bridges, but the outer backcountry keys are uninhabited, essentially untouched by man. The Florida Keys are famous for their exciting, productive fishing. The classic way to fish here is to pull across the flats in a shallow draft skiff, searching and casting for the great game fishes, which include the bonefish, permit, and the largest and most awesome, the tarpon. Sports Afield producer Glenn Lau has come here to film these unspoiled parts of the Florida Keys. He'll show us some great fishing action, but first he'll reveal the beauty and mystery of the undersea world these fishes inhabit, the natural drama of life and death in the fertile shallows. With this unusual boat, equipped with a tower and stabilized by a pair of large pontoons, he'll give us a bird's-eye view. The boat has a flat bottom with a draft of only a few inches, so it can skim over the flats. The high angle from the tower will reduce the glare on the water, allowing the camera to see more clearly what lies below. But Lau begins with an underwater camera, swimming in the envelope of water covering the flats. He's not encumbered by the air tanks required for diving in deeper water. Here, a mask, fins, and a snorkel are all that's necessary. He floats easily over this flooded terrain, stalking his quarry. He propels himself quietly toward a tiny mangrove key. Its shoreline is a flooded, tangled fringe where myriad marine creatures feed and hide from their enemies. Each mangrove plant has a system of prop roots, spidery appendages that grow outward and downward, finally taking a grip on the bottom of the sea. The mangroves absorb energy from the sun through their thick green leaves and create new habitat for marine creatures in their sunken jungle of roots. mangroves reproduce in a peculiar way. This seedling has sprouted from a seed while still attached to its parent. When the seedling drops, it may take root in the muddy bottom where it hits, or it may drift with the currents, crossing a channel or even an ocean. A seedling adrift can remain alive for as long as a year, finally taking root on the tropical shoreline of some faraway continent. Once rooted, a seedling may grow as much as 2 feet in its first year. As the mangroves gradually spread, the keys grow larger and new keys are formed. Land is built as the increasing tangle of roots traps debris of all kinds: driftwood, shells, bits of coral, and falling leaves from the mangroves themselves. Lau prepares to make a shallow dive in a channel beside this key for a look at the teeming life within it. In the Florida Keys, there are countless small channels like this one, crisscrossing the shallows. They are kept open, swept clean of sediment, by the powerful rush of tidal currents, flooding and then reversing and flushing them out. At the shallow edge of this channel, the dark, intricate snarl of mangrove roots is the home of a school of mangrove snappers, appropriately named. These snappers are links in a complex food chain that ranges from single-celled plants and animals to huge predatory fish. The mangrove snapper is found not only among the roots, but also in the channels close by, especially near obstructions like this outcrop of dead coral. The spiny lobster also lives here, hiding in crevices during the day and going abroad to hunt for its food at night. In fact, there's an almost endless catalog of creatures among or near the mangrove roots. The Cassiopeia is a jellyfish. Its camouflage arms, resembling seaweed, have stinging cells to stun its prey. Another camouflage denizen of these mangrove shores is the seahorse, a fish that could easily be mistaken for a prong of coral. Instead of ordinary scales, it has an armor-like covering of bony plates. It swims by vibrating its tiny fins. And this is the oddest of the odd, a gangly, ungainly-looking creature called the arrow crab. It lacks the usual crab pinchers. A more familiar species, the hermit crab, makes its home in the shells that are formed and then cast off by other animals. As it grows, it must keep moving into larger shells. This creepy creature of the shallows is the brittle starfish. It can move quickly on its slender legs, which will break off if seized by an enemy, often allowing it to escape. The brittle starfish is an active, enterprising predator, capturing and consuming a great variety of small animals. This strange, inscrutable eye belongs to the horseshoe crab, an 8-legged oddity whose closest relatives are spiders. It skulks along the bottom in search of worms, clams, and other tidbits. The creatures we have seen so far pose no danger to man, but this eel-like fish is different. It's a spotted moray, which lives in a hole in the coral or rock. Usually it remains there, waiting in ambush for smaller fishes to pass by, and then it can thrust out quickly, striking like a snake. The moray is not venomous, but its jaws are powerful and filled with malignant teeth. If a diver unknowingly intrudes near its lair, it may inflict a severe, jagged bite. Leaving the mangrove shoreline, Lau takes his tower boat up on the flats at high tide. Perfectly adapted to this shallow water is the flattened profile of this stingray. Anglers wading these flats can be painfully wounded by the barbed, venomous spine at the base of the stingray's tail. But with caution, encounters can be avoided. Lau's assistant, piloting the boat, spots another hazard of the shallows. This time, it's a pair of sharks cruising above the tips of the turtle grass on the prowl for an easy meal. To attract them closer to the camera, the assistant uses a rod and line to dangle a live jack crevalle that he caught earlier. Many kinds of sharks, including these, can locate their food by following low-frequency sounds. They're especially sensitive to the thrashing and splashing of a fish that's in trouble, one that's hooked or wounded. Or they can use their extraordinary sense of smell, especially when there's a trail of blood on the current, to trace to its source. These are lemon sharks. They're a common species and spend most of their time in the shallows. They're often found cruising in pairs or small groups. Some kinds of sharks are sluggish, feeding only on microscopic plants and animals, but others are aggressive hunters, and when hungry, will strike at anything that moves: turtles, squids, crustaceans, and fish. In some cases, they're cannibalistic, attacking sharks of their own species. Divers in these waters and anglers waiting on the flats should stay away from any large shark, regardless of what species it appears to be. Sharks are notoriously difficult to tell apart, and their behavior is unpredictable. Among the sharks known to attack man are the bull, the tiger, the white, the hammerhead, and the species we're watching here, the lemon. Still, the shark plays an indispensable role in the natural drama of the shallows. It belongs here. In just a moment, we'll go fishing on these sparkling flats of the Florida Keys for one of the world's greatest game fish. Stay with us for all the great action. We're skimming through the wild backcountry of the Florida Keys with the shallow sand flats blurring beneath us. On the tiny nameless keys that we're passing, people have rarely set foot. These mangroves are the rookeries of graceful fish-eating birds, the herons and egrets. These backcountry keys are part of the Everglades National Park, and so they're protected and kept in their natural state. We've come here to find and catch a spectacular game fish, a species that's abundant on these flats. One of the skilled guides in the Keys, Steve Huff, tells us about it.
Oh, I would describe it as a extremely fast swimming fish. Once they're hooked, come in shallow water, feed in shallow water. They're shaped, I'd describe it as a bullet with a tail. How does it look?
Another Keys guide, Eddie Whiteman, describes it this way.
Well, the average fish is about 6 or 7 pounds, and it's just about 7 pounds of shallow water dynamite.
Probably as much as anything, they're such a hardy fish. They're strong, they're muscular, and they're wary, and fast, so they can get away from anything dangerous.
And they're spooky as hell. That's about all to summarize it without going into a bunch of detail.
And this is it, the bonefish. It's a primitive creature, belonging to a group of fishes that began 125 million years ago. It's capable of sizzling speed. When hooked, it typically runs 50 to 100 yards and finishes the run in only a few seconds. The bonefish spends most of its time in the depths, but it forages here on the flats, the shallow, sunlit terraces of sand and turtle grass. Usually, it arrives here as the tide starts to flood and then leaves on the ebb. Its diet includes crabs, mollusks, worms, shrimp, sea urchins, and small fish. It grinds this food, shells and all, with a set of teeth in its muscular throat. As the flood tide begins, the angler starts carefully scanning the flats. He does not make casts at random, but waits until a bonefish or a school has actually been spotted. One sign that he looks for is the swirling, waving tail of a bonefish tipped upward. A tailing bonefish is intent on feeding and usually is easier to fool and catch than one that is merely cruising. Another good sign is a cloud of mud, stirred by a school of feeding bonefish nosing along the bottom. It's important not to cast too close to the bonefish. If the splash of the bait frightens one of them, the entire school will take alarm and rocket across the flat, completely shattering any hope of catching them. There's a lot to learn about bone fishing, and the guide is the angler's coach and instructor.
Eddie, there's a black spot up ahead now. How do I know if that's a small shark, barracuda, or bonefish? What's the feature I should be looking for?
Well, very quickly grab something on the bottom with your eyes, like a white spot or another dark spot, and relate the two together. If it's a fish, it'll be moving. If it's just a sponge or something...
Eddie Whiteman is guiding Jerry Chapetta. Both men are wearing polarized sunglasses, which reduce the intense reflection from the surface of the water and make it easier to see beneath. Jerry is using light spinning tackle with a shrimp for bait.
3 or 4 of them, I guess.
Hey, Eddie, look. There's a shark laying there. What's the matter with him?
There's nothing the matter with him. That's a big lemon shark. He looks like about a 4 or 5 footer. They lay in those white sandy holes and just rest. They just one of the few sharks that are able to do that. You watch him. Pretty soon he's going to move awful fast when we crowd him. See him starting to move?
Yeah, there he goes.
Well, he's really taking off now. There he goes.
Look at that. And we ought to catch some sharks, too.
You better have to hurry on that one.
Tell me again what I'm supposed to look for, Ed.
In this area here, these fish are working off the edge, and they'll just be either swimming along, working up to the edge, or they'll be mudding, digging stuff out of the bottom.
Now, these fish don't live in here all the time. They're up in here for chow, right?
That's correct.
And what is it they're after when they're mudding and tailing?
Mostly crustaceans, small crabs, shrimp, all kinds of, little clams and things of that nature. To a smaller degree, some small fish. But mostly crustaceans. I would guess probably. Okay, we got a tailing fish.
Yeah?
See that little shaking of the top of the water?
It's hard to see into the
Yeah, he's about a little overcast away. See him there? He's facing to the right.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to ease you up there and just lay it about 10 feet to the right of him.
How close do I dare throw?
About 10 feet from him. See him tailing there? He's just tailing real well.
Oh, my God. Look at him.
Just try to lay that bait in there real easy. I'm going
to try, maybe.
He's really digging. Now he's facing to the left this time.
When they're down there nosing like that, they're feeding, aren't they?
Okay, try to lay that bait right in there just off his nose, about 10 feet.
Let me get it up
Go ahead, lay her in there real easy.
Oh, my goodness. Look at him. Look at him.
Go ahead.
Here we go. Yeah!
Okay.
Too close? Am I too close?
Just sort of slide it back to him just a little bit. It's a little long.
All right.
Okay, just wait for him. I think he's going right over to it.
You should see it now.
And when he picks it up, you let him tighten out and then set the hook on him good.
All right, just keep the slack out right now.
Now, give him a little slack so he doesn't know you're there. When he tightens out, then set the hook. And set the hook well.
All right. All right,
he got it!
Yo! Here he is.
Now, I'm going to take off and chase after him.
Times like this, I wish I was 6 feet 4.
All right, I'm going to chase after him. He's got you around a...
Whoa! Oh, he's gone again.
Keep it up high. Keep it up high. Oh, no, I knew you planned it.
Oh, nice. He's just looking me over. Here he goes. He's looking me over. Yee. Yeah, he's keep going to the left.
Let me know when you get tight on him. All right?
Yeah, he's coming back, all right.
Sometimes they'll run right at you, and it's hard to keep up.
He is turning toward me now.
Still coming right at you.
They are beautiful.
Now, Jerry, when he gets in close, he's going to circle the boat.
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to spin the boat fast enough, so just try to anticipate where he's going and be there ahead of him. Like just walk down the gunnel and come back to the stern.
All right.
That way you can head him off before he cuts you off in the engine or anything.
I don't think he's quite ready.
I think you got to look at your face.
Yeah, again. Oh, slow down. Slow down. Slow down. When is it they're supposed to get tired?
When they wear you out.
He's got my right arm about shot. You think that if this fish could jump, he'd be the all-American fish?
Boy, I tell you, it'd be hard to beat. Make a 200-yard run and then jump. You better come back here now.
He's coming. He's coming. I'm coming,
no,
too.
That's the problem. You're not.
I'm going to go right around you.
Get up here so he doesn't cut you off. That's it.
Hey, he's a big fish.
Now, see him heading to the bow? Now, you head up there before he gets there, so
All
he
right.
doesn't run under the bow on you. Go ahead. Go forward.
Go with him?
See, if he makes a lunge under the bow, he'll cut you off.
I get you. Boy, he's pretty.
Show me
He's pretty.
Okay, you
Look
ready,
at
Jerry?
him. No.
Keep his head right up there. All right. There he is.
Oh, man, that's shove it.
It's about, hold the handle, and let me pick him right, okay? If you want to make sure that they live without any problem, always handle them with wet hands and never squeeze them.
I see.
That's what he looks like.
I'll be darned.
See the dark bars down his back?
Yeah.
That's some of his feeding.
Now, he's got no teeth in there.
No teeth, but if you look inside, you can see the crushers. See
You want me
the
to get
crushers?
this out?
I'll do that in the water. See the
Okay.
crushers?
Yeah. Nobody ever really kills bonefish anymore.
Not around here, no. We turn them all loose, except if they're a trophy fish. Over in the Bahamas, they eat them, but we try to turn them loose. We want to see them come back.
Well, he deserves to live, I'll tell you.
Oh, they're
he's
beautiful.
just about got
Let's
me
get him
wet.
back in the water before he gets hurt more.
He'll be all right now.
We'll get him swimming around here a second. Then we just kind of get a hold of him like that. See there? So you're not hurting him at all. Just pop that hook out and turn him loose.
There's nothing else in the world of angling like catching a bonefish on these crystalline flats. First spotting it and stalking it, then calling up your skill to make the cast. And all the action takes place in surroundings of unsurpassed beauty, the shimmering tropical seascapes of the Florida Keys.
Sports Afield has been brought to you in part by your Kmart Sports Center with quality brand names at Kmart prices. Sports Afield is a result of the combined efforts and cooperation of the International Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies and their associates. Sports Afield is approved and recommended by wildlife professionals for its true life presentation.